Okay, I'm going to walk us through this data sheet, and hopefully this will be a way to for us to collaborate on using this data sheet. And if done correctly, I think we could use the same sheet once a day between both school and home supports. So on the very top here, we have this is actually a table of contents. So leisure is on page one. Keep going. Pattern activity, page two. ABC, data collection, page two. Directions, page three, all the way down to behavior scale, page five and six. So that's just a quick glance up will kind of guide you through the document. We have some engaged activities for Parker and the adult listed here in the beginning. The ball play, uh, approximate length of time per episode. So if he did that a few times a day, we could write down the duration under these spots right here. Swimming, same thing. Fitness equipment, this would be pretty much at school, or it could be, I suppose, at the Y, but right now we'd be probably at the school. It could also be at the park over at Waveney. There's that one park where they have some fitness equipment, or another location. This could be some different activities that, again, Parker is engaged in with the adult, or while the adult is present, some leisure activity. The greeting of hi, the reason why hi and bye are on here is because um, often Parker is faced with someone wanting to greet him. It could be a person working with him, or it could be another person this is associated with a particular area, whether it be the church or the YMCA or the school or community setting. So, and it's on his IEP. So, what would probably make the most sense is for Parker to um, have a paired reinforcer with walking up to someone and giving a high five or receiving a high five. So the person comes closer and offers a high five, and Parker returns that. That would be good. So Parker will maintain a closer proximity to be able to engage at a high five. The adult can start off with a greet and then the hand up in the air. This would be under plus right here. We could write a little plus or check if it went well. If Parker kind of moved away and didn't high five the person, then we would put a minus here or a check under the minus column. Really, only three opportunities to record that. With bye Parker, same thing. It's just instead of a hi, it's a bye with a high five coming from the adult. If we can pair a reinforcer with it, that would be great. Moving down here a little bit further, for Parker to tap the adult on the hand, arm, or shoulder. This is an old lesson that we had in place a few years back, and just to continue it, the key is for the adult not to have direct eye contact with Parker, because if you did, it would relieve him of having to tap your arm, hand, or shoulder. So if we purposely turn our head away and have something of Parker, then we can then ideally he would touch our hand or tap our hand or shoulder. If he doesn't do it, you can turn around and go ahead and use a little hand over hand to take his hand and gently tap your hand or shoulder, and then you can quickly turn and offer him the attention or item that he's looking for. Moving to page two, Katie Page put together a guide for different pattern activities that can be referenced and looked at when planning to do an activity with Parker. This is just a place to record that one was done. So you can write the activity here, the location, homeschool community, and a few comments, and that's it. We're not really taking too much data on this, just allowing us to track some of the different activities, but most of the information you'd be looking for would be on that guide. Behavioral notes, this is if there's an aggression towards self, that's self-injurious behavior, SIB, or others. So we write down the aggression here, what occurred right before, what occurred right afterwards, and the duration. Communication, this is when Parker communicates to us that he wants an item, activity, or some kind of action he's communicated, and how he said it. So if Parker said, for example, uh, if Parker indicated that he wanted to go to the bathroom, if he indicated that, we would write down bathroom here. If he pointed to his schedule, if there was a schedule set up with a bathroom already on it, then we would circle that. If it was just a hard copy picture in his folder or somewhere in the bin, and he took the picture and pointed to it, so it's not on a schedule, it's just a hard copy that was around or in close proximity, or maybe we left it out for him and he indicated by tapping it, then we would circle that. If he communicated something on his iPad, then we would circle that. And if he had some kind of speech approximation, we would circle that. And sometimes it might be one or two circled, but that would be the different ways of him communicating to us that he has some desire or need. So at school, for example, he often will tap the picture that's on the schedule for the track. So that's right here. If the picture of the track was on the table, a desk, I mean, and he tapped it, then it would be here because it wasn't on his schedule, it was just on the table. Or if he said something, speech. Any comments on speech, additional comments, you can write down here. Following directions, this is on the IEP. So if we gave Parker a 1 or 2 step direction, like Parker, get your shoes, that would be, you can call that an object or action, I suppose. The action is that he got his shoes or put his shoes on. If we said it, it's a verbal. If it's a visual, then, meaning we pointed to a picture or we tapped his own shoes, for example, then that would be, he would be using a visual. If we do a verbal, it's going to be either declarative or direct. And by that, in one sentence. So declarative could be, hey, what do you need to go outside as he's heading out? Parker, what do we need on our feet? Those would be declarative language. If it was more direct, Parker, you need your shoes, you would circle this under verbal. If you responded to that, then it's a plus. If it's not, it's a minus. We could talk more about this, the action, object, and location, one versus the other. Personal care, Parker using his napkin, for example. Object available means that the napkin was available, so we have to have it available if he's going to use it. If that's all that was required and he used it on his own, then we just circle that in a plus. If we did a gesture, declarative or direct. Gesture might mean we modeled with our own napkin. Well, actually, that's modeling. Gesture could be that we look at the napkin, that we maybe slide the napkin over to him and let go and then remove our hand. If more direct would be that we tap the napkin, that would be here, or keep our finger on the napkin, or even hand on the napkin, that would be more direct. Modeling would be if we used our own napkin. And verbal would be declarative. Parker, it could be something like, Parker, you have crumbs in your mouth. That would be, or Parker, your mouth is dirty, or something like that. That would be declarative. Direct would be, Parker, you need to use your napkin. That would be more direct. Going to the bathroom, same thing. He independently just goes. And then Parker verbally or visually communicated such. So that could show up both here, under bathroom. It could also show up here. That he verbally or visually communicated to us. Or we prompted him with a gesture. Again, declarative would be more of an indirect gesture. Us looking at the bathroom, us kind of walking by the bathroom. Direct gesture would be pointing to the bathroom. A visual would be picture of the bathroom, and a verbal declarative language would be, Parker, we're going for a long ride. Parker, it's been a while since you used the bathroom, or I have to use the bathroom. It could be like, I have to use the bathroom, which would be declarative. A direct would be, Parker, let's use the bathroom before we go. Sitting down here, washing hands, basically the same thing. When I say that, I mean by the prompts. Independent gesture, declarative, direct. Model, verbal, declarative, direct. Dry hands. And then community safety, stopping with verbal directive. And the options are stop Parker or stop 1, 2, 3. These phases refer to a lesson that was put together some time back. And if you need more information on that, just let me know and I'll make sure you have a copy of that. Because ideally, phase 1 is, we're in control of the situation, so Parker has no choice to stop. When he was younger, that was easier to do. Now that he's much bigger, I think it'd be hard for us to stop him more directly, but these later phases are him more independently stopping. The stop 1, 2, 3 comes right from the lesson that there was a stop program, and after 3, there's a reward that's given. So if you're going to use that, you want to have a reinforcer afterwards. Here's the behavioral scale. Now this has some changes. This refers to the modified scale that we used, and you need a separate visual. There's a visual of that has color coded that talks about what M is and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in U. So you have to look at that to know which one to circle. Sensitivity to sound, yes or no, and by that, within a half an hour period, does he cover his ears at all? And or any kind of grimacing around noise or wants some noise turned off, that would be a yes. And you can indicate what it was there that he was sensitive to or that you think he was sensitive to. Level of demand. This is we'll see if this works. Let me zip down to the bottom of the next page because there's a slightly bigger version here for you to look at. So we have a scale. On the horizontal scale, it's a continuum of 1, 2, 3, 4, and S and U. That is this continuum right here without the M. So it's not the M. So it's just this. Oops. It's, if I go backwards here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and U. That's this right here. That's that right there. So again, if you indicated a 3 here, then when over here, and this one being blown up, that would be the 3 right there. That's kind of where he is on that continuum of his mood, basically, his mood continuum. Now, that's one piece of information. The other piece of information is what's the level of direction. So this vertical continuum stands for no direction, which is the very bottom here. So he's pretty much just off doing his own thing. You're not even around him at that point, probably. So no direction, because you even being in the room might indicate some indirect direction for him. But bottom line is no direction, or there's low direction, and meaning that you have a low level of direction. This is somewhat subjective, but if you put it all together, it might make sense. So low direction, which would mean something like once every few minutes, once every a couple times every 10 minutes or so. Periodic would be more regular than low. So periodically, you have to offer him some kind of direction or guidance. Now the direction could be still declarative, or more direct or prompt. It could be visual. But the whole point is that this is you interacting with Parker, from no direction all the way up to high direction. So periodic direction or often. So it goes from no direct, low direct direction, periodic direction, often, which means, subjectively, I would say often would be, at least one every minute or so. That would be, or that could be one every few minutes or so. That's often. High direction is perhaps one a minute or even more than that. And so if Parker is at a 1, on a scale of 1, on this scale here, if he's at a 1, and you're offering, periodic direction, but because his mood is at a 1, that would place, if you plotted that, you would say, okay, his mood's at a 1, periodic direction, so he'd be right there on that continuum, and that would be in the MD area. It'd be basically, it'd be on the MD area, moderate demand, because it's periodic. If it was a low-level demand, again, directions again, mixing up direction and demand, but low-level directions, right here, and he was at a 1, it would plot right there. And that would be close to what this is. This stands for LLD, demand. So this whole thing is a demand quadrants. Moderate demand here, high demand here, low demand, and then low demand. So this is directions, frequency of directions. This is his mood scale. And so if he had a low mood of 1, which is pretty relaxed, and you offered a low level of directions, he would be somewhere right around here, which would be considered a low demand or low demand. If your direction level moved up, then you're getting closer to an LD, which is lower demand. If Parker was at a scale of 2, and you were giving directions often, that would be in this quadrant. That would be considered a moderate demand. Moderate demand. This is true over here too. If let's say it was a low level direction, but he was like pretty agitated and he was up here around a 3 or 4, even a low level direction at 3 and 4 could be considered moderate demand for him. And of course, if he was at a 3 or 4 and you had directions that were often, that would be considered a high demand. So our choices over here are basically MD in this quadrant, just going clockwise. MD in this quadrant, HD in that quadrant, MD down here, and then LLD and LD. And again, the difference between these two is that LLD, lower demand, would be basically he has very low direction given, and he's very relaxed. That would be a low demand situation. creeps up to lower demand, low demand to lower demand, the more directions you give. So if he's still here and you start giving more directions, you're going to start moving him up closer to lower demand. The higher you go, it's moderate. And of course, if his mood flips over to here, somewhere between a 2 and 3 and 4, higher than 2, right around 3 or 4, or 5, anything around here, he's going to be either between a moderate or high demand situation, depending on the number of directions you're giving him. Hopefully, that's not confusing. Okay, so we'll start with this, and then we'll continue to talk and use this sheet together, and I'll make whatever changes I need to make as we move along. Thanks.